Hi, this is Kelly, and today I am at ABQ Sewing Studios in Strathroy, and I would like to introduce you to a new product that I've been using for a while. And I do have to tell you, it's a great product, and it is PEEP approved. This product, called Seam Allign Glue from Acorn Precision Piecing Products, is amazing. This product allows me to piece an entire quilt with absolutely no or very, very minimal use of pins. So let me show you how this works and just how cool it actually is. Because not only does it increase my accuracy, this little bottle of glue, it goes really far. You just use a tiny little bit of it. Okay, so here we are. This is part of the block that we're going to make. And you can see there's some pretty sharp points in here. And we're dealing with some bias edges. So putting a pin in here, there's a good chance that I would distort what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do is just use my glue. And it's got a very, very, very small little tip on there on the bottle. And that allows just a tiny little bit of glue, because that's all you need is a tiny little bit of glue. This little bottle here lasts forever. It goes a really long way. And all I'm going to do is put a little dot about every ½ inch or so all the way down on my piece of fabric. Like so. And I'm getting it right on the edge of the fabric. So when I do sew this, I'm not actually sewing through the glue. I'm going to be sewing through an area that has no glue. And I'm going to lay down my piece that I want to sew that to. And make sure that I'm lined up. And I just give it a little pat with my hand. Oops. And then press it with the iron. So the iron is what sets the glue. And then, see, when I open that up, you can see that I'm nice and straight here. I've got my points there, and I'm now ready to take this to the sewing machine and sew it with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So what happens if I've messed it up and I've got my pieces on wrong? I can just take it apart and try again. Put a little bit of glue. Pop it again on there. Lay my piece down, make sure that I'm accurate this time and I'm happy where it is. I'll flip it over to make sure that it's good. And I'm happy. I'm going to hit it with the iron. There we go. And now I'm ready to take this to the sewing machine and sew with my 1/4 inch. So what I will do is, obviously I'll be making 4 of these pieces to make 1 block. I will do all 4 of them, then I'm going to go to the sewing machine and sew all 4. Okay, so here I am back from the sewing machine, and I'm going to press this towards the dark. And there we go. And look at that beautiful point. There we are. I'm ready to line up that second piece. And I'm just going to put some little dots. Now, not only is this excellent for increasing your accuracy with your piecing, you can also do things like put plaids together and match up your plaids, or any kind of striped fabric. If you're putting that together, you can line up your stripes. There we go, that's good. Give it a little shot with the iron. And now I'm going to go to the sewing machine and sew my next 1/4 inch seam. Here we are, ready for our last piece. Put a little bit of glue. And using the glue is like having a pin everywhere along the top. Just going to lay that down. Give it a little pat it in place. Hit it with the iron. Off to the sewing machine. And here I am back from the sewing machine again. I'm going to give this just a little press to set that seam, and then press this towards the dark. And look at how lovely that is. There we are. Look at these beautiful little points. now I am ready to put these two together, and this is one instance in this, because of this block and these sharp points, where I might want to use one single pin. So I'm going to take a pin, put it in the back of this one, right where those threads converge. Okay, and flip it over, and then just stick it right there. And put that right down into my mat. Line up the block, and that just makes sure that those points are lined up perfectly, and that pin will hold it while I do my gluing. So I'm just going to put my little dots of glue down here, right to that edge, and then line up my fabrics. Pat that down, give it a quick hit with the iron, and now off to the sewing machine. Now, there we go. I have my 2 halves done, and I'm going to do the same thing. I want to put these ones together like this. I am going to put one pin just right there where I want the blocks to converge, and right there. And then I'm just going to pin that right through my wool mat, like that, and go ahead and do my gluing. And just do my glue, oops. Place that side together, give it a little pat. And then I'm going to do this side. Put that side together. Oops. There we go. I can take that pin out now. And off to the sewing machine. And there we go. The Seam Allign Glue just makes the points and the seams so much more accurate. Now, here's another of my favorite uses for this glue. You know, when you're sewing strips together, you're doing some strip piecing like in a Bargello, or even putting on long borders, or you're putting strips together and they start out perfectly at one end, and by the time you get to the other end, this is what happens. They are no longer perfectly straight. That's usually caused by the feed dogs feeding one strip a little faster than the other. So what I will do is go ahead and use my seam glue, go all the way down my strip, give it a little pat, give it a press, and then when I get to the sewing machine, I know that when I sew my strips together, they're going to be even, and I won't have any kind of fullness to try to iron out of that strip. So that's another of my favorite uses for this glue. I also use the Seam Allign Glue a lot of times when I'm doing applique to hold my appliques down as I sew around them. And Brenda just mentioned that yesterday she was sewing a garment, and she was trying to put the plackets in on a cuff, and the Seam Allign Glue would have been absolutely wonderful to use on that as well. So it's not just for quilting and you know, piecing. It's also very good for garment sewing, because there's sometimes some places you just can't put a pin. It just doesn't work. You can't get it in there, or it will distort the fabric too much. So that is also another excellent use for the precision piecing product Seam Allign Glue. So there we have it. This little bottle of precision piecing can bring you so much joy. Thanks for watching.